And welcome to the Wednesday, May 15th work session of the Penfield Town Board. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Will the clerk, the interim clerk, please call the roll?
Barry.
Here.
Lee.
Here.
Leenhouts.
Here.
Ockenden.
Here.
Teglash. Here. All here?
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes, where we need to approve the minutes for April 17th and May 8th.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call vote, please. Carrie?
Barry.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
Leenhouts.
Aye.
Ockenden.
Aye.
Teglash. Aye.
Great, thank you. Okay, we have no guests today. The first action item is 1807 Penfield Road conditional use permit for spa business, and we have Director Carey to lead us in this discussion.
Yeah, so this is a conditional use permit application that's been received for the rear building at 1807 Penfield Road. This was a location that should be familiar to the board. A few months ago, another applicant had come forward with a potential approval for a hair salon business. They've moved on and are not moving forward with this location. The current application is for a reflexology or rehabilitation, a spa with massage services, hand and foot, I believe scalp massages as well. We do have the applicant's representative and one of the employees. The owner of the business had to travel for a family emergency, and so we do have the guest here. Couple of notes. I'm going to start with the photos, and I apologize for scrolling. This is just to orient everyone as to what building we're talking about. These are some photos of the interior spaces. There are no proposed renovations to the interior of the building or the exterior to allow this use. As you saw in the letter of intent, hours of operation are proposed to be Monday through Saturday, 9:30 to 9 p.m. My understanding is that there are going to be two providers of services. We've indicated that anytime a business operation requires licensing through New York State, that proof of licensing would be a condition before the permit's issued, and that is the case for this type of business. And so I would offer that if you have any other questions, the applicant is here and could address them. Or if you have questions for me, I'm happy to address those as well. It's a type 2 under SEQRA, so no SEQRA analysis is needed.
Any questions?
So this is one of the issues where we can determine whether or not a public hearing is required before moving forward with a conditional use permit, or whether you're comfortable authorizing administrative issuance.
Any thoughts?
I mean, I don't think it's significantly different than things that have been there before.
Well, I think it's similar. It's a similar use to the one that was administratively approved previously a couple of months ago, if you're using that as a sort of a standard comparison.
I would agree with Kevin. Personally, I don't think I need a hearing.
I would agree. I don't think we need a hearing. Okay. Do you want to come up and tell us more about it, or?
Hi, I'm Phil Ranaletti. I'm actually the realtor that helped Andrea purchase the property from Ron, and now I'm helping her get the back.
So you can take a seat. You can be comfortable.
Yeah, no worries. So I'm here with one of the employees. English isn't the best, so if you have any questions for her, I'll help to translate with an app, not that I know Chinese. So it's appointment-based business. They welcome walk-ins. They're given 4 spaces based on the lease. They will not take up any more of those 4 spaces, so it shouldn't impact traffic pattern or parking or anything of that nature.
And there is public parking on the street available behind the building as well.
Correct, yeah. And why we wanted to move forward with these potential tenants is they don't want to change the space at all. So if you remember, Andrea did some work in the back. She wants someone to come in that's not going to do any renovations, so they're going to use the space as is.
And is it an existing business that's moving in, or is it?
Yeah, so they have a business in Buffalo, a location in Buffalo as well.
Great.
When are they hoping to start?
So we have the lease for June 1st. We put it out that far because we weren't sure how far this administrative would go, but hopefully we get the approval soon and we can get them in there, start getting set up.
I'm sorry, I missed if you said that they are licensed in what they're providing, or?
We indicated they indicated in their application that they have the licenses and would provide
They're
them
available.
upon request.
What license is it?
So they have an esthetician license for the facial services that they do, and cosmetology, and a cosmetology license. And then they have certification for, so they're not doing, it's not like a spa where you're doing like deep tissue massage. It's like reflexology and like light body work. So like hand rubs, foot rubs, and things of that nature.
So they're not, so it wouldn't be,
A full body massage.
Correct.
And the esthetician license does allow for and forgive me, I have a daughter who is one, so I can, but it allows for you can handle the head and shoulders and arms and feet.
Correct.
As part of the service for an esthetician, because that's typical service as part of a facial, if you're getting a fancy one. And then the cosmetology would be washing of hair, the scalp massage, and things of that nature. We can certainly
but what about
verify.
this other type of massage that you were talking about? Is that come under either of those other licenses, or is that a service that you say doesn't require a license?
No, that's everything that she just described.
Okay.
So the light therapeutic, the
There'd be no
full
body
body
massage.
therapy,
Correct.
relaxing body therapy, I think that might be the one, if that falls within it, okay.
Is
Versus-
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm fine.
Is the Buffalo location also called Health Aroma Spa?
I don't believe so. Is the Buffalo location the same business name?
No.
Different name?
Yeah, different name.
Okay. We can provide that name. We can get that name.
Okay.
Does she have the name?
Yeah. What, do you have the? Do you want to come up? What's the business name for the Buffalo location?
ARPA location?
Yeah.
I show you.
Can you type?
Very quiet.
Yeah, in the interim, I would indicate, though, that signage is not currently included, any signage that would come back to us, and I would email the board as we do with
Okay.
typically
That's a good
with
point.
with applications. So before a sign permit is issued, we would verify
would review that.
the signage.
Okay.
Any luck?
Okay. 888 Relax Spa. 888 Relax Spa. Is there a website?
It's okay, I got it.
Okay.
So you said there are 2 employees,
Correct.
and I say this very respectfully, obviously. English is not my first language either, so I want that to be understood. But as in operating a business in Penfield, is one of the 2 employees going to be fluent in English? Like, how are the operations going to run? And if there are walk-ins, how are Penfield residents going to be able to access these services?
Yes.
Because you're not going to be there day in, day out with this translation app. So I just want to understand the actual mechanics.
Yeah, so Haito, she's the overall owner and operator of the business. She's fluent in English. She's the one that I've been communicating with and speaking with. Unfortunately, she had to go back to China to deal with a sickness in the family, so she couldn't be here tonight.
Yep, sorry, I'm not trying to pry into
Yeah, no
personal
worries.
things about that. I just
No
want to
worries.
make sure that this is going to be a functioning and successful business in Penfield.
Yes,
So, okay.
understood.
All right. Jayo.
Okay. Any other questions?
Don't have any. I'm good.
Oh,
Carry things like
or not,
things like garbage storage, and I know we talked about it with the previous application, I think.
yeah.
Similar, those things you've vetted through. And
Yeah, so I think as far as, they likely would be using tote services. It's not a high generator of waste. I don't believe there's a dumpster on site, and so that could just be stored in a neat way and handled appropriately. If there was any issues, we could certainly put that as a condition into the resolution or the approval of the administrative approval.
But I remember that was the shared parking, and so it's clearly defined now. I think that's an ad from maybe
Yeah.
applications that we've heard.
Right, so my understanding is that the 4 spaces out front that I'm pointing to here with the cursor would be included in the leased agreement, so that they have 4 spaces in front of the building. Is that correct? Or is it these 2 spaces and these 2?
So they haven't been assigned,
Okay.
but by lease, they'll get 4 spaces.
4. And then behind, you'll see back here in sort of in the background, you can see that there's on-street parking. That's public parking. So their employees could park on the public parking and leave the spaces in front of the business open to customer use.
And what's nice is Andrea in the front, the business they run is appointment-based as well. So it just makes it easier from a parking perspective. That was important for them.
So I'm sorry, Board. I see the application, but I think some of the answers that were fleshed out, I do now have some concerns where I am no longer in favor of this proceeding administratively tonight. I am not seeking a public hearing, however, but without some additional valid information to kind of validate the business and operations. I reviewed the application, and I'm sorry, it just did not jump out at me based on the application answers, but I think of what's been shared tonight, I do have some concerns that I'll be expressing in writing to carry to further vet. But so I apologize to the board. Again, it did not jump out at me based on the application, but I'm looking again in the file folder to see if I missed anything. That's all there is.
Right.
But I'd be looking to validate a little bit more about the business and operations, please. So I'll be communicating.
One thing, if that's the direction we're moving in, then I would ask the applicant to furnish the proof of license so we can see exactly what services are included in the license. That might be helpful to the board as well.
Yeah, I'm going to be looking for services of license operation, kind of like the business model again, and some other concerns that I'd like to just share offline.
Okay.
So you'll get the same, but I'm just not prepared tonight, so.
Okay.
So we'll move this to a held item for discussion at the next work session meeting? Or do you want to?
You said the lease is June 1. So I'm sorry, Pete, can you help educate the board, please? If in the interim weeks, the applicant's able to provide additional information, would it have to come back for the board to proceed administratively?
Yes, because so you could, well, here's another way to do it. You could ask that it be scheduled for a public hearing at the next, so that'd be, when is that?
June 5th.
June 5th. That's one option. The other option is you could, allow it to go administratively and then share the concerns that you have with, because remember, it's not an administrative approval, it's an administrative review. Mm-hmm. So it's not being approved administratively, it's being reviewed administratively, so.
So what is the best way? Because I definitely want to keep it moving for them. So if the concerns are abated in the next 2 weeks, I don't really want to hold it up. Is there something that you'd recommend of how we can keep it going.
Could they prepare a resolution for the June 5th authorizing me to issue it administratively, so then it's on an agenda?
Oh, and then you can, yeah, that's a way to do it.
That would be great.
Then, in the meantime, the staff will be working on that administrative review, and then if,
And if there were any issues or concerns, you could act or not act on that resolution
Yeah.
at the time and the 5th, if more questions
and then
pop
you'd
up.
be ready to go if it's, and then probably if it's going to be approved, probably approved the next day. So it's like a week delay on the start of the business, but
Does that make sense to everybody?
so
Get a motion to create a
prepare a draft
resolution?
resolution to handle this administratively.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Roll call vote, please, Carrie.
Barry?
Aye.
Lee?
Aye.
Leenhouts?
Aye.
Ockenden?
Aye.
Teglash?
Aye.
Okay, great. Well, thank you both very much. Hopefully, we'll get to a conclusion in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. Let us know what you need, and
Yeah.
we'll get it to you. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next action item, follow-up discussion regarding local law to amend zoning map and review SEQRA. This is going to be led by Carrie as well.
Wanted to share with you, as you've all seen, we had the public hearing last month for the zoning map amendments. Per the town board's request, we did prepare an FAQ that was sent out to each of every property owner that would be impacted by the change in zoning. Since that communication was sent out by hard mail, it was mailed a couple of weeks ago, we've received no additional inquiries or comments about the zoning change. Forgive me, I take that back. We got one for one of the townhome residents, just wanted to understand what the change was and was satisfied and happy with the answer. If the town board didn't have any further questions or discussion, I would be asking for a resolution to approve the local law to make these map amendments.
And no feedback at all from the homeowners on Route 250?
No.
Okay. That was
one of
my
the-
biggest concern.
One of the
Those-
property owners was in attendance at one of the meetings, and I
Okay.
spoke to them afterwards to explain the...
When you went out of the hallway.
Went out in the
Okay.
hallway after the last meeting, and explained sort of what that meant, and so, and I think the FAQ further clarified and sort of...
It was a good document.
Well, thank you. It was a group effort. But so I think maybe just understanding
Okay.
the parameters satisfied any questions that they had. I can't speak for them, obviously, but I
Right.
can just attest that,
No one reached out to us, you did not get feedback, any concerns from those homeowners, because those were, on the Fairport, that group on each side I was most concerned about.
sure.
Okay.
Was there another resident from somewhere near Empire up that direction?
Actually, it was on State Road, State Street. I'm going to name the wrong one.
State Road.
State Road. State Street's downtown. State Road. They were actually fine with the zoning change. They had some additional questions with the approved development behind the property,
Gotcha.
and I put them in touch with the planning department so they could get more detailed information about the approved plans. But the zoning change itself made sense because it was right-sizing the zoning designation for those properties.
Okay.
Okay, any discussion? Questions?
I have no other.
That's what,
Looking for a motion to,
Prepare the resolution to adopt the local law.
I'll make that motion.
we have a second?
I'll second.
Roll call vote when you get to it, Carrie.
I got it here. I'm on a roll now. Barry?
Aye.
Lee? Leenhouts?
Aye.
Ockenden?
Aye.
Teglash?
Aye.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. I actually skipped an agenda item, the employee handbook. And we're getting really close. Town board, as a group, is working on this diligently. We had a few tweaks we're going to make and discuss with Tracy, our head of HR, who's out tonight. So we'll keep working on it and we'll get it concluded soon. Okay. So next action item is initiate seeker review for Moe Company Sidewalk Grant application, or Monroe County, depending on how you...
I wanted to be Moe Company now.
Carrie and Mark, take it away.
Yeah, so Carrie started the seeker for it. Obviously, we've submitted our application to Monroe County, been communicating back and forth with the DOT on that. They've asked for, some additional information, but it sounds like it's trending in the right direction. Sounds like, they're supportive of the sidewalk request that we had. So as part of it, they wanted us to do the seeker for that. They want us to be the lead on that, but they want it to be a coordinated review. So I'm looking for tonight for the board to basically take lead agency on it. If we move ahead with the lead agency on that.
Declare intent to be lead agent.
Thank you. We'll send it back to the county. Obviously, they can respond quickly, say, yep, they don't intend to be lead agent on it. And then we can move forward through the seeker process with that. So it would be a type 2 action is a...
Unlisted.
Thank you. An unlisted action, but they asked for a coordinated review.
Yeah, typically coordinator reviews are not only, but they have to be done with a type 1 action. When it's an unlisted action, it doesn't have to be done, but often when there's multiple municipalities, they just do that so that one party is doing seeker and everybody can use it. So that's the benefit here. So if the board authorizes us to move forward with declaring its intent to be lead agent, we can then circulate that request and that notification to Monroe County formally in writing tomorrow, and then with the hope that they'll have it back very quickly, and then a resolution would be on the June 5th agenda officially declaring lead agency and concluding the seeker review process. So we'll be preparing parts 2 and 3 for this action for your review in advance of the June 5th meeting. And we're moving this quickly for 2 reasons. One is it's, a fairly straightforward project. It's sidewalks. There's grant funding involved. And then also we're trying to meet the county's schedule of meetings, and they are meeting at the end of June in committee to talk about this.
And just remind, the goal is to get this done this year, 2024, the sidewalk, or would it be?
I think we need to... Obviously, if we're moving ahead with it, the county says, yes, we need to get into design, and then would have it out to bid and allocated by the end of the year, so the construction would happen in 2025.
Okay.
We've just got to have it under contract by the end of 2024.
Gotcha. Thank you. Any questions? So you want to articulate the action item?
So there would
Carrie?
be seeking authorization to circulate the coordinator review material to Monroe County, and also prepare a resolution to handle seeker at the June 5th meeting. If that makes sense.
So moved.
Okay.
Second, anyone?
No, I couldn't.
Do I have a second?
second.
Yes. Vote, please, Carrie.
Barry?
Aye.
Lee?
Aye.
Leenhouts?
Aye.
Ockenden?
Aye.
Teglash?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. All right. Next action item, initiate seeker review of the potential brush drop-off location at 2660 Penfield Road, utilizing existing access from Gloria Drive. This is Eric.
Sorry, the 3 of us
Sorry.
are trying to do like not it to each other, but I'll take this for the seeker since I prepared.
Fumbled to the last one. I'll let you right the first time.
Okay, so first of all, we'll classify the action. It's a type 1 under seeker because of the proposed portion of the property that would be used exceeds the threshold of 2.5 acres in an ag district that requires a type 1 action. So a long form was prepared to evaluate this. And so this would be, again, kicking off the process to initiate seeker, declare lead agency intent. That's at the request of the school district. The school district asked the town to take lead on the seeker review. They're the only other involved agency. There are a couple of other interested agencies who would circulate this proposed action to, and the EAF full EAF Part 1 as part of this project. And the other thing, if the town board is comfortable moving forward with the SEQRA review of the action, we also have prepared and put into the folder communication that could go to neighboring properties so that they're aware of the pending action. And then I think we also discussed as an internal team the prospect of adding this as an item to the June 5th agenda as a community information input opportunity. So anyone who had questions would have an opportunity to come in and find out more. Did I miss something?
Just part of the communication, we also intended to put the sign of property under review out on site.
At the entrance location.
Entrance on Gloria Drive.
Yes.
So it does have a Penfield Road technical address, but Gloria Drive is where the access point is and where the main entrance is. We would put a sign in that location there, so anybody driving by would see that and call in and be given information about the June 5th public information session.
How far in advance would we be able to send out the communications prior to the June 5th meeting, if things happen tonight?
They could go tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay, so there would be a
Wanted
notification.
to talk to the board first. The sign.
Sure.
Depends on the sign guy.
Yeah. I do have some questions on the form, but I just wanted to understand that process.
Sure.
Do you want my questions? Okay. So kind of lesson learned, but I just want to go over some of the things, specifically looking at, where is it? D2, specifically J. Will the proposed action result in a substantial increase in traffic above present levels? And it's checkmark no, but I believe that would be a yes.
Not by standards of DEC. So
How is
100
that
trips.
not? That's a no-shoulder, two-lane road. That's my concern is,
Right.
once again, we're putting trucks and dump trucks and everything on that road.
So
Go ahead.
the New York State DEC has a SEQRA handbook, and with each of the questions in both the short form and the long form provides guidance on sort of how and when you might answer that question. Even though we check no as it on the form on the EAF in Part 1, Part 2 and Part 3 we would still address potential impacts to traffic as part of the analysis to make a determination of significance. When you click yes, it means, so for example, if we were putting, let's just say, a Walgreens at this location. I don't want any rumors to start. But like, say this was, we're proposing a Walgreens. Walgreens is a retail operation. It generates more than 100 trips during peak hour, AM and PM. And so then you would have to check yes on that. And say, now, if it makes the board more comfortable, we can check yes on that and still address it in Part 2 and Part 3. It just doesn't rise to the level of a DC standard to check yes. And that's why we check no.
Okay.
But it's your form, so you can have it say whatever you like as a town board.
Right.
When you look, if you're ever reviewing these forms and you have a question, the original DEC version of these forms, the blank forms, they will have like a hyperlink to many of the questions where you can click that link and go right to the section of the SEQRA handbook where it gives the administrative guidance on how to answer the questions for both the Part 1 and Part 2. I believe.
All right. If it's going to be addressed, then I will trust that that's the process in DEC, right? You know, you're following that process. Some of the feedback that we got was a concern that under M, same 2D, M, will the proposed action produce noise that will exceed ambient noise levels during construction operation or both, and that is when we operate and turn this twigs, branches, whatever, into mulch. Is there a concern there that that will be allowed operating machine?
Again, this is
Same
one.
type of thing?
Yeah, same type of thing. I think we would still address this in the Part 2 and Part 3.
Okay.
To indicate that, during construction, the duration, the noise might exceed. But I think you have to also recall with that site, with the current site on I'm going to say Gloria Drive because that's where the entrance is located. I don't know if you saw the photos that were provided in the drive. It's very remote. The closest house or occupied structure is maybe 0.2 of a mile away. So the noise level would likely, and it's well treed on the perimeter, the entire perimeter of the property. I think we could certainly, the ambient would be, we can address that as part of the Part 2 and 3. I just don't think it rises to the level of saying yes.
The noise, I think they're looking at it as a long-term noise that's generated. We'll address it that obviously in the time that you're grinding the mulch,
It's
the day or two, that is, yes, there
Okay.
would be an increased noise of those days, but the rest of the time, it's a fairly silent operation. So again, as Carrie's indicating, not trying to be misleading on the form,
No,
but they're
no,
looking at it as
understood.
a long-term noise that, that goes on as part of it. And
Right.
All right.
So it doesn't
If this was a
reach those
quarry
levels.
going in, you'd have to check yes to this.
And every day
then-
there'd be a noise and something long-term that goes with that. But in Part 2 and 3, we can, while it doesn't tick that box, we can still highlight it, as an area of concern and something that the board considered in its review.
Okay. Under E, land uses and convert types on the project site, I noticed forested isn't checked, but it looks like we're going to lose 1.5 acres of forested land. So I just am curious, are we cutting down?
No,
What does
you know
that-
what, that could be, I could check forest on this form, and that
I
would be
mean, are we
better.
going to lose like a lot of forest trees? 1.5 acres of trees? Is that how I'm reading it?
Yeah, we're estimating that, and we say tree loss, it might be scrub trees. We haven't classified them. There's certainly a lot of scrub there that would be removed, and I'm not sure that we have the tree portion, there's a significant amount that would be remained and not be affected by the project.
Okay. And E3, that it is located in a designated agricultural district, but we don't foresee because it is far away enough that there will not be an impact on agricultural use.
Correct, and the property itself hasn't been agriculturally used, at least
Okay.
in.
It's not being currently farmed or in the
recent past.
And how far away? What's the distance with the wetlands that are there?
The wetlands are on the far south end.
Are we talking half a mile?
Probably 500 to 1,000 feet.
Okay.
So we will have to put in a pond. As part of this, we are intending to put gravel down. Gravel accounts as an impervious surface in DEC rules and regs. So based on the increased impervious area, we're staying below 5 acres, so we don't need a 5-acre waiver, but we're over 1 acre. So we'll need to do a notice of intent. We'll need to put in a pond to handle that runoff. So we'll be collecting that, and actually there's a break in the grade. So the portion, it actually flows to the east out of this piece because there is a little high point that goes east, so the portion we're discharging to won't drain to the wetland.
Okay.
So there is a little bit of a topography. It's kind of on a ridge, so we're avoiding discharging anything to the west, which there's some homes to the west. Nothing would go that way. Carrie's pulling up kind of the
Trying to.
aerial.
Yeah, there's not much there, is there?
No.
No, so
You see down here is the stream and the stream buffer.
that's where the wetland is.
Oh, down there.
that
Okay,
piece.
gotcha.
You can see almost right above where it says search result is the actual parking area now.
Mm-hmm.
And then the area we're going to put the pond would actually drain to that, intermediate channel that's on 2718. It actually would go that way. So
Okay.
that's the area we're looking at. We put the pond on the southeast side of that. That would, trickle to the roadside ditch and then down, and then you can see where it kind of goes across the road, curls, and actually goes northeast from there. So it wouldn't, the water we're looking at discharge wouldn't go towards the wetland area.
Okay.
If you put the topo on, and it may,
Do you want me to put contours on?
please.
With or without labels?
Yeah, you don't need the labels.
You're an engineer, you don't need the labels. I need the labels.
Well, at this scale, you're not going to see them anyway. So you can, if you can see, it kind of drops off. So you see the tight contours, it falls off to the west.
Right.
So we're looking to stay away from that, so everything would be on this side of that ridge, so one, it's buffered by the trees and the elevation to those neighbors, so it's kind of on the top of the hill, and then those contours, they fall down to the east towards the road, so that we'd put the pond on the lower end, which would collect that, and then,
So it won't go into the road?
yep.
Right.
Okay. All right, 2 more questions, and then I'm done. I thought the letter was great. I appreciate that. I think it provides a lot of good information. 2 questions on it. We talked, the temporary is used frequently, it says temporary location. I'm still under the impression that temporary means during the construction. So if there's any way just to, obviously if construction is delayed, it's going to be longer than what we're foreseeing, but just make sure we're clarifying that. And the one thing that wasn't in here, and I want to ask about, because it was one thing that came up as a potential compromise when we talk about the traffic and we talk about the trucks going down these small little roads, and that is that currently, as I understand it, dropping off your brush is for residents only. However, currently, if you're having work done, you can come with a contractor and show your Penfield ID, and then these contractors can come in. I didn't really see that stipulated, but I'm curious, is that something that we will continue at this temporary location, or is that something perhaps we halt so that we're not having significant traffic on that little tiny road?
We could certainly do either.
Okay.
That would be the board's preference.
Okay. That was one thing when we were originally looking at Kennedy, was a big concern of those residents. Now, the good news is we don't have anywhere near the housing. When you brought that up and showed, we don't have residential on this road. So perhaps it's not necessary. I'd be interested in all of your thoughts if we just move forward, if we wait and see if it is.
Well, with the June 5th meeting and the opportunity for folks to express their concerns,
Okay, that's
maybe
true.
you
That's a
could
good point.
render a decision after you get some feedback. If anyone comes out, or if no one comes out, maybe that's your feedback as well.
Okay.
I would additionally say that if there became an issue kind of down the line, that could be something that is addressed at that point.
Okay.
That
Fair.
I guess policy more or less could be changed. It could be, stated that it's purely for residential, or for residents. If you want to stipulate that it's, in, passenger vehicles, nothing with commercial plates, no dump trailers, no, commercial vehicles, that can certainly be implemented at any time.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
That's it for me. Those are my questions. Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you all.
So,
I have a question. Is the school district ever served as lead agency for SEQRA review?
I don't know, not to my knowledge.
They would in their own applications,
Yeah.
not in our dealings with them.
And they go through NYSED, the New York State Education Department, and that's its own little fiefdom as far as development and construction. So I don't know, and maybe Peter knows more about this than I do.
They usually do their own seeker because they're exempt as really being deemed an agency of the state. So they're kind of deemed to be exempt from our zoning restrictions. So they typically do their own thing.
So as an involved or interested agency, is there any input in terms of their review of the same concerns that we would have?
So in a coordinated review, once the lead agency is established, it's the lead agency's responsibility to look at all that stuff. And, they could certainly participate in that and provide input, but it would be whoever the lead agency is that would be fully responsible.
Okay, so in this case, it sounds like they're pretty hands-off in the review?
They probably would not want to do it because they don't have people on staff that, we have an engineering department and we're probably better equipped to do it. They would probably have to go hire some, outside engineering firm to help them do it.
Okay, that's helpful, because it's their property, right?
Yeah.
And so I wasn't sure, the reason I'm asking is I wasn't sure if some information or historical information or other, is there basically information that would be in their control or their knowledge bank that we, the town, wouldn't have access to? And so is it possible that we might be answering the questions on part 1 or part 2, 3 as part of the vetting again, without all information available to us, is it possible that we could make a mistake?
So I think with part one, as part of if the town board moves forward with authorizing us to send out the request for lead agency, that request goes with a copy of the full EAF Part 1 attached to it. So any other agency that receives that would take a look at it. If they saw anything that they were concerned about or objected to, they would bring it to our attention. We could modify the Part 1 form if needed before any further action was taken down the road in terms of concluding SEQRA. These forms can be updated at any time. So right now, they're being prepared. You're ready to move forward with it. If you get more information that you didn't know yesterday that needs to update the form, it would just simply be updated and then re-signed and redated with that information.
Well, I mean, but it depends, right? And that's why I was wondering if they were at least going to be involved in some of the process where if we had a question or something was ambiguous or something, right? We wouldn't know to ask if it wasn't within our control. And so while I understand that the form could be updated, but if the board, we're relying on the information as it's available to us and presented to us today, if something were to change significantly on the form, we might be farther along in this process where it's difficult to pull out. And because I'm understanding that the project with DPW, like this is a service that we're trying to not have a gap in. And so it's the board like definitely wants to keep the process moving and the service, again, uninterrupted for residents. That's why I was asking again, like for all the persons that have the information.
What I will share, though, is when we prepare the Part 1 form, we use the DEC's EAF Mapper, and that EAF Mapper is a program that's linked to all of their databases, and it auto-populates answers that it knows. Not every answer, but if there were like known like contamination sites, known whatever, those pop up on the EAF Mapper for the property in question. So
and would that
that's
tell
helpful.
us if there was any, because I see that there's the Briar Hill farm neighboring the property in the south. So if there was any leakage from the farm or leakage like anywhere.
If it's been reported, it would pop up. I also checked, and the state has a database for spill sites, and I've checked those to make sure that this property hasn't been listed. I can also check for neighboring properties.
I feel more comfortable with the neighboring properties, but.
Sure.
Okay. And again, this.
And we would do that as part of the Part 2 analysis. This first part is really to identify what are the things we have to look at from an environmental perspective that could be an issue or a concern that would need to be addressed more detail with further study or analysis in Part 2 and Part 3. And so we can do a deeper dive to make sure there's no other known issues.
Okay, and again, I don't, I defer to the engineers and subject matter experts on this. My only concern is as we get a very shorter runway for these services, I just want to make sure that nothing comes up where we have to again derail and pick a different site, because we're running out of sites.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. If any other questions or discussions, then I'll go ahead and make a motion. You okay? You okay?
Yes, my questions have been answered.
Then Supervisor, I'd move for a resolution to be prepared for the town declaring its intent to serve as lead agent on this matter.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. Vote, Carrie?
Sure. Barry?
Aye.
Lee?
Aye.
Leenhouts?
Aye.
Ockenden?
Aye.
Teglash?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Next item is a DPW bid follow-up discussion. You want to come forward?
As Megan Urian from MRB comes up, just, to recap, I know we had greater discussion last week at the special work session about this, kind of going over the timeline, answering a lot of the questions that the board had, sharing a lot of the information. Wanted to see if I know there was additional follow-up information that was sent out to the board, all of the bid results. Wanted to see if there was any additional questions, further need for clarification. I know Maggie, can help likely answer anything that I cannot, but wanted to see what exactly the board, was still unsure of or needed, for this.
I'm good.
I do not have any.
Can we hear again just for, there was additional feedback that we wanted to hear on work that would be done in tandem to keep these services on site. Was there any other update you wanted to provide there?
For the brush itself?
Yes.
Okay. So I know, and I have not been able to kind of do a deep dive into the actual permit process with DEC, but understanding that to be able to, have our own chipper, to be able to grind brush would require us to get our own permit from DEC. Certainly the lower level threshold permit, because we would not have, nor have we in the past with our current operation, have had 10,000 cubic yards of on-ground brush or mulch on site at any given time, and certainly wouldn't be able to, fit that volume even with the proposed site. So it would be the lower level permit, similar to the permits that we have for underground storage tanks right now, more or less a formality through the DEC. I have reached out to inquire about chippers themselves, kind of capacities, sizing. There is a company, a local vendor for Vermeer, right in Avon. I'm waiting to get further information back from them as far as kind of pricing, just to have, ballpark idea. Is there anything on contract? Are there, other brands, machines, whatnot that may be an option, and kind of roughly what that might cost, what that would take.
Okay.
I know
I know it's still in the preliminary.
Yeah. And I can
investigating those additional steps.
I can say I have followed up with other staff within the DPW just to kind of pick their brains and get additional sets of eyes looking at the plans to see what their thoughts would be on possible locations on site to be able to do that. And so far everyone seemed to be, for the most part, in agreement that likely doing something along that new retaining wall would be the kind of the best central location to not impact other buildings or the overall daily operation.
Is the new retaining wall where we were thinking on the west side of the property?
Yes.
Okay. And then, okay, so that at least,
Yeah.
you okay? Okay. And Maggie, I know Linda's additional questions, I think we had gone through most of them, but I think MRB had reviewed. Was there anything else you wanted to highlight or raise for our attention? Or clarify?
I don't know if Councilwoman Teglash.
Well, I know a lot of those questions were my incorrect assumption that we were leaving out all those alternates. And then we're finally able to assign that, no, those are all going to be, we're actually going to do the work is the best way for me to ensure I clarify. And I believe the other questions you all answered.
Okay.
I don't know, the only other question I didn't put in there, and I apologize if it's been covered ad nauseum, and I'm going to ask it, is about the fuel tanks are now above ground versus below ground. Is that safety? Is that, right? Right, I see nodding,
Yeah.
so you probably covered, I apologize.
And I can answer that one a little bit. So it is a much safer.
Okay, that's all I needed to hear.
Use. A lot of the towns, and I'm sure Maddie can speak on behalf of it, a lot of the other projects, a lot of the other towns that are doing this, including even the school district down the road, are going with above-ground tanks. It is a far less even reporting that needs to be done with DEC, because you can physically see if there's anything wrong with that tank, whereas below ground, you're relying on monitors.
You never know
really
if there's
gas
a leak
stations
until
that have minimal size parcels.
Yeah.
Have no choice but to have them below ground just to maximize their space. But DEC's preference would also be to have them above ground, if at all possible.
Okay, so if we can just recap before we feel comfortable about spending this amount of money. So we would be awarding the contracts with according to the timeline to break ground in June, or at least have them mobilized in June to start breaking ground.
Correct.
Brush drop services is going to have a gap in June until, go ahead.
So brush drop off would not have a gap, with the idea that if construction is slated to begin on June 12th or a few days after, whatever the contractor feels is whenever the contractor is mobilizing on site, instead of having brush drop-off at DPW, my thought is that we could utilize a portion of the parking lot right here behind Town Hall. The bigger open parking lot that sits vacant for the majority of the day, Monday through Friday, during the normal 7:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. Hours that our brush drop-off is available. We'd have, we could have our wheeled excavator and a truck there as residents are kind of dropping it off in a pile. We are then loading it into our truck and bringing it over to Brighton and continuing to work with them so that we can continue to offer that. We'd have everything cleaned up at the end of the day when the parking lot starts to fill up with Little League, as well as, nothing on the weekends. Even for the weekend Saturday brush drop-off events that we've got scheduled, I still want to be able to honor those as well. And my thought is that those could be done in the parking lot at DPW because construction on the building is not going to take place on the weekends, nor would we have, as many employees or vehicles kind of in that parking lot causing any congestion.
Okay, so that's a new, I know that's been at least, the idea has been percolating before, but that wasn't formalized right here. But good to know at least there's some idea. Won't really entertain that today in terms of working on the mechanics, but I think I'm just going off what was previously communicated. So potential gap or no gap if this idea goes through. We're slating for the IMA with the school district for Gloria Drive in July. I think if it all pans out, then the supervisor would sign mid-July to authorize that IMA, right? So, and it's the board's understanding that it would be a temporary IMA. I think I heard 2 years potentially as the initial to accommodate for brush drop-off while there's construction. And then when DPW is constructed, it's the board's desire at least that the brush drop-off in either a reduced or modified or some other capacity will be brought on site on the west gate.
Okay.
Clear?
Clear.
Agreed? And the town is going to be working in its best efforts to get us there. I understand if something comes up where it can't be done, we'll cross that bridge.
We could talk about it. I don't know. I personally don't think that might be the best option, but we can certainly go down that road. And not to get into a bigger discussion, but I worry about, again, the traffic proximity in the long term, not the short term, with having it on their site. But just so... You may not be speaking for the whole town board. I may differ a little bit, but it won't.
Ultimately, throughout the duration of construction, we can, kind of work with that goal in mind. We can also see how the school's property, does work out for us, and if it seems to be working out for them and actually being a benefit for them as well. And, if there is a mutual desire to continue having that, any longer, that may be an option. Not saying that it's a guarantee or that it has to be, but that, may be an option as well.
Yep. So I'm not trying to cut you off here, Eric. And I'm not trying to speak for the whole board. I'm trying to recap what is the understanding so that everybody's on the same page before we do the resolution. So I think that's news to me.
No, I think I guess I'll say it this way, that I keep looking at holistically or the future of adding services. So it may not fit at the DPW based on what we might do. Maybe it's mulch, compost. I'm just saying things may change in the future, but I agree with you. We should go down that road.
So I just want to at least be fair to the staff, because I think if again, please speak up, interrupt me if I'm not being accurate. I was under the impression after the last session and the sessions all the way back to February that the majority of the board had wanted the brush drop-off on site. So we're giving staff directions as part of this action plan.
Yeah.
So if there is a different opinion, as a supervisor, then the staff is going to be left of well, then who do we listen to, right? I want the staff to have a clear picture of what is the intent of the board for the next 2-3 years, so that with this massive project plan, the director is clear, and then MRB is clear in terms of managing the project. So
Absolutely.
Is that at least fair to say this is...
Sure.
Okay, so you're comfortable with...
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm in agreement with that, and I also have a concern because we just contradicted ourselves that we're considering leaving it at Gloria Drive, and we're saying that it's a temporary site. And that's part of what happened with Kennedy Road, was that the residents got conflicting information. So I have that as a concern.
If we use the word temporary, it needs to mean temporary. If we're unsure, if we think it might stay, then we need to change our wording, because that, Kevin, I agree with what Candace says, and I was there with Kevin when we said it was temporary, because that was our understanding. The amount of residents who didn't believe us, who just right away said, oh, you're saying that now. If we use the word temporary in our documentation to residents, then it needs to mean something. Without any intent that in the back of our minds that we're thinking, oh, no, well, maybe it'll be okay there. That is my perspective. And that's why I concur with what Candace is saying. If anyone, Jeff, if you do, Supervisor Leenhouts, if you do have thoughts that maybe that isn't and it will stay, then we need to be clear.
Oh, I guess I just don't know what the future's going to bring, and there's a lot to figure out. I guess that's where I stand. I mean, I think even Kennedy Road, saying it was temporary, initially, what happens in the future, I just don't know. I just want to keep our options open, I guess is what I'm saying. But I don't disagree. Maybe we should use temporary if that potentially could be changed.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I was just going to say that basically after the last meeting, my perception was that we were going to work in tandem to establish it at the DPW. And, I think that we need to be more clear. We need to be more purposeful and be able to give more solid answers when people are asking questions. And it seems to me that if it is at all possible to have it at the DPW, that is the most logical place to put it, and then that will take the whole issue of temporariness off the table.
And I can articulate that within, whatever draft IMA is proposed to both this town board as well as the school district to indicate, temporary during basically during the duration of construction of the new building.
Right, and it's understood if construction takes longer, if we run into something. Understood. That is, I think everyone can understand that, so I appreciate that.
Sure.
But I go back to what Councilperson Lee said, and I want to make sure we're clear.
It caught me out of left field here, because
What caught you out of left field?
that you have a hesitation of, so if it's just more like, don't know what the future holds, totally with you. I could get hit by a bus tomorrow. I don't know either.
It's thinking of...
Win a lottery, that's my one, yes.
So if it's coming from like that place of heart, then I'm totally okay. If there's any hesitation, right, because I see these resolutions as a point of no return. Once we authorize it, that's it. I forever hold my peace, disgruntled or not, right? And so you're asking me to vote with a significant amount of bonding and capital from the town with services, and we've got like 3 fireballs in the air that you're asking us to manage. And I'm trying to vote with a clear conscience, understanding how these fireballs are going to be managed. If you throw in something else here, then I don't have as confident of an understanding that town staff is on the same page as the board.
I shouldn't have spoke up, I guess, is one way to say it. But I'm just looking at the big picture on what we may do in the future. I'll just say this. If we're just talking about brush drop-off, we're all good. If we increase services, it may be difficult at that site. I would just leave it at that. That's fair.
That's different. That's different. Yeah, that's a...
All right.
That's where I'm at, because we've talked about a little bit about what is the future. Is it more services than just people dropping off brush? If it is, that might be difficult on that site. That's just where I'm going.
Yeah. It's important not to lose or have a gap in that service. if you find that it's in this back parking lot is best, or you find over by the mulch piles best, I don't think, it doesn't really matter to me as long as our service doesn't have a gap.
Sure.
So that's my stance on temporary.
And for public record, when we talk about potentially expanding services in the future, that may be things related to this. Like it could be a leaf pickup or composting. It certainly wouldn't be putting things that are not in some way related at the temporary site, because that was one of the concerns that people had. Is there going to be other types of waste dropped off there? Is it going to change? And that's not at all what we're talking about.
Correct.
So the letter, which, again, I meant to say this earlier, but I didn't want to interrupt. I think the proposed timeline for Gloria and the additional communications and background information that the staff provided with respect to this proposed project was fantastic. It helped the board have a clear understanding of what is proposed and the critical implementation operations that the staff is going to, and that the board would be trusting the staff to do. So that was excellent. And then the communication letter, it being more detailed with an FAQ, and again, being honest and upfront. So in that letter, it says this will not be a landfill. I just want that to, like, when you say other services, we're not talking about a landfill. Like, that is an honest statement to the residents.
Yes.
No,
Okay.
this would
All
be
right.
brush drop-off and brush drop-off only. No,
Okay. So I just want,
nothing
all
additional.
right, okay. So then I'm not going to belabor this point. We can talk about the drop-off in the back town hall parking lot. I mean, I understand like the desire to keep it. I'm not thrilled with the idea of it being, at the town hall, but we'll discuss that later. So for tonight, just to keep this moving, then we are on the same page with the action plan. There's no reservations, nobody from the town. Right. I'm sorry, Maggie, you have to sit through this, but we're all on the same page then? Okay, all right, then Councilwoman Ockenden, they're, oh, I'm sorry, do you want to move it? Are they your resolutions?
Well, we're going to conduct that as a special meeting.
Legislative.
Right after
because
the
we've already prepared for the, so you're right, we don't need to move for a resolution to be prepared because they're already prepared. Okay, all right then, never mind.
I do have something. In looking at these resolutions, there was one line in each one that I intended to change that I did not change, that I would like modified before it's adopted. On the second page, the paragraph that starts, "Now therefore be it resolved," I would delete the last sentence in that paragraph on each resolution. It says, "This resolution and the bid submitted by Lefroy Builders shall constitute the contract." That line should be deleted because in actuality, the contract documents are the contract. So that was something I intended to delete, and
Well, and we can note that, do you want to note that change during the special meeting?
Yeah,
Or
we'll
note
just-
it here, and I'll making the change.
making the change, and then when you adopt the resolutions as amended.
You couldn't make my only time being the town clerk.
I'm sorry.
Okay, so in the next paragraph, it says that the contract's going to be subject to your approval anyway. Okay.
It's a series of contract documents, and I've reviewed just about everything on the contract
You
documents
looking for
anyways.
a motion?
Oh, do you want to make a motion, and I can amend?
Yeah, let's make a motion to amend the draft resolutions.
To remove.
To remove the last sentence in the first, "Now therefore be resolved," clause of each of the individual resolutions for the contract, individual contracts.
That's,
So moved.
Good.
Carrie.
Great job, Carrie.
Yes.
Vote, Carrie, please.
Okay. Can I also just have somebody remind me who moved and seconded? Was it Candace moving and?
Bob Ockenden seconded.
Okay, thank you.
Did you call her?
Ockenden.
Well,
The whole name.
Barry.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
Leenhouts.
Aye.
Ockenden.
Aye.
Teglash.
Aye.
Maggie, thank you for being here tonight and
Thank you.
additional information. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Maggie. Have a good night.
It's probably going to go through now after all this, Not going to be.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Have a great night.
All right, next action item is adoption of the new FEMA floodplain maps. Mark, your turn.
I get to talk. So these are special flood hazard maps that were prepared by the DEC. So basically, they affect the shoreline. So the only area that really affects Penfield is in the Irondequoit Bay. So they did adopt some new maps showing with higher water levels and/or adjustments of the lake as they've been altering the high and low, modifications in that area. So in order to stay in the NFIP, which is the National Flood Insurance Program, so how everybody gets flood insurance in town, we need to adopt these new maps and these new regulations in order to make sure that we continue to or are able to provide flood insurance coverage for our residents. So I sent the draft, I put a draft, sent it off, or Carrie prepared the draft, sent it off to the DEC. The DEC said that looked good. So if the board is good with this, we also have a draft resolution tonight to set the public hearing for that. Any adoption of a local law would require a public hearing, so looking, hopefully tonight the board would set that public hearing for the June 5th timeframe.
And then not expecting to have anybody come out to speak at that public hearing because no one even knows that there are flood insurance maps.
Well, I was going to ask, are residents notified that maybe now they are in one? Is that something that we do?
The people that are affected by it have
Right.
been notified by the DEC.
Okay.
So they were notified, those are just the southern shore of Irondequoit Bay.
So
there are a few businesses along there. They have been notified that it is modifying slightly. It does have a minor effect on LaSalle's Landing Park. That's part of what we've been working on with the modification to the pump station in that area. So we're one of the affected landowners, is that area, but it was very minor in Penfield.
Okay.
Okay.
And I think just from the notes, this would actually benefit residents in the flood region or risk region, right?
Yep, making sure they can get insurance.
Insurance for it.
Covered for that.
Yeah, so
Right.
yeah.
It's a good thing.
Yeah,
You'd want them
because
to
if
know.
we lapse, then we could be kicked out of the program, and then flood insurance
Right.
gets very expensive and/or unavailable. And that's no good, I was going to say no
That's
point,
bad.
but that's not a good thing for anybody.
I was just curious because, telling residents good stuff is,
Yeah.
is nice
Live in a
too.
floodplain.
We're not changing it. That's FEMA's the one that
Yes.
analyzed it.
Right,
It's not
right.
us that's changing it. We're just required to adopt it into our code.
All right, any other questions for Mark? Someone make a motion?
I think
This?
introduce the new business item.
For
because we had
resolution.
Board is good with the new business resolution tonight, if you want to make a motion for that.
To add it to the special meeting.
And the date of that was,
Oh, to this.
So it's a new business item that would be as part of the special legislative session that's being conducted immediately following this meeting, if that makes sense. So when we get to that portion of the special town board legislative agenda, in the new business section, somebody could introduce that.
Okay.
The new business would be just setting the public hearing
Yes.
for
Just
June
setting
5th.
them.
So
Yes.
it's not the adoption of this. We're going to have a public hearing, give the public the time to come out. So just asking the board tonight if we can set that public hearing, so that would be the new business item.
Okay, I'm sorry. Do we need a motion or no? Just bring it up at the...
We can just, I think we can just add it as a new business item at the legislative session.
Okay, we ready to move on? Next is the ARPA fund discussion. You want to jump back in, Mark, on ARPA funds?
So this is something the board brought up last time. And I think Carrie had prepared a kind of a breakdown of the numbers and the
I did.
items of where we're at. I know the board had some thoughts, comments on items for utilization of additional ARPA funds. And then looking at, how much funds we have remaining. So I know this was an item that was brought up at the special work session, just to kind of go back through. I don't know if we need to allocate it tonight, but just wanted to kind of bring that conversation back to the forefront, and knowing as this year goes on, we need to make sure those funds are allocated by the end of the year. So I think as Carrie brought up on the screen, thus far, I've allocated ARPA funds to the library, to the Bremen Room improvements, the Shadow Pines. Now, this was the initial piece done by previous boards. I know this board didn't want to allocate additional funds based on the contract, and we indicated what that total project cost was. So $2 million was allocated. The overall project was 3.5. The upgrades to the LED lights, those were done, and that project actually is completed. And then the board had previously allocated money to the sanitary and storm slip lining that Eric's working on and getting that taken care of. So out of the monies that we received, the board has allocated just over $3.2 million to date, which leaves a balance of $559,000.
That needs to be under contract by the end of the year.
And then expended before December of 2026.
I know Candace sent a list around of possible ideas or things you've written down.
Great ideas there.
You know, one thing I'll throw out, and I think Carrie had mentioned this too, you know, I love some funding for training, customer service leadership training, and I know that, Carrie, you sent me something on some internal training, and these funds can be used with ARPA funds, I believe.
Yes, the workforce development funding is a possibility, so I share that thought with Jeff. Certainly happy to share it with the town board if that's something that you're interested in. IPS is the integrated property system that's used by the building department, fire marshal, code enforcement, planning, engineering, and the town clerk's office. We've got a lot of new staff across the board, and so if there is an opportunity, training sessions are not included in the annual contract for the software. Technical support for problems as they arise, but if there was something, if training was an opportunity, happy to. We've got no information about costs, so we can gather that information and share it with the town board if there's any interest or opportunity for that. Otherwise, it can be addressed through a future budget cycle.
Yeah, go ahead, Candace.
Oh, no,
Yeah. No, what she said, basically, I mean, I have some ideas on training, but I have no numbers, so it's something I'll work on. We have a little time, but we need to start thinking about how to utilize this money soon, obviously.
Were any of the department heads kind of surveyed to see what additional needs they have, or?
Yeah, we need to do that, absolutely.
All right, well, I circulated an email for the town board to consider, and I don't know if it's made it out to staff, but I did of course say that I think it would be helpful to survey all of the departments, particularly facilities, sewer, to see if there's any infrastructure needs for areas that they manage and weren't budgeted in 2024, 2023. And so during particularly the COVID year, this is how I understand ARPA funding, that it's supposed to go to infrastructure. And some ideas, I had a lot of commentary, but I'm just going to throw out the ideas, and then...
There's some good ideas there.
I don't know if any of this is already budgeted or in the books, but it's not to my awareness. So in no particular order, repaving, sealing of the asphalt at the community center went by last week, and there's a massive pothole as soon as you enter that Why are you smiling? Because you caused that pothole? Right?
Because I think they start
So
paving.
it is, that is, I have a mill lined up for June 20th and 21st, and a paver for June 24th, 25th, and 26th to repave the entire parking lot this year.
Oh, good job, Candace.
So,
Telepathic.
But to be clear, you're fixing all the potholes and then repaving?
Milling and
sealing?
repaving the entire parking lot at the community center.
And does that include Penfield Rec and like, so the entire parking lot?
Yeah.
That is any and all pavement
excellent.
at 1985 Baird Road.
Okay, great job.
There you go. That's good.
Eric, real quick, is there a temporary patch or something? I know the spot Candace is referring to, and we're a month or so away, is it?
Yes, I will, yes. We've got, been a little hectic the last couple days, but yes, I will get a patch in that.
Okay. Also repaving, sealing the asphalt at the town hall. You guys drive it every single day. You know how much disrepair it's in. I think it's also the center of Penfield government, and I think, impression walking in, and also just use of it. And I would be thinking the entire lot here, connection to Veterans Memorial Park with Little League. I know that timing might not be great because I don't know when you would do this, where there would be low traffic, but I throw out the idea, not updated carpet in the town hall, or at least steam clean it. There are some areas that are ripping up and that are just gross. Natural gas or smart generators for the sump pumps. Recall to mind that we had the sewer incident, Christmas 2022 or 2023, and I think our town supervisor at the time was with the sewer department cleaning sewage from resident houses, and I think that's, I'll just stop there. During the public hearings when we were discussing Shadow Pines, the pickleball and tennis hardcourt surfaces, there was a lot of comments that those hard surfaces are in disrepair. So while I've always said, while we build other facilities, like I'd like to maintain the ones that we also currently have.
Well, I'm sorry, what was that last location?
I think the reference.
They had a list of, I'd have to dig through emails. There were
At Rothfuss Park, and I think Greenwood.
Harris Whalen.
So, and I know Harris Whalen was resurfaced 2 or 3 years ago now. Greenwood is on schedule for this summer to resurface the basketball court and the tennis pickleball courts.
So, great to hear, and I would again say while these action items are being taken care of, can we potentially divert ARPA funding towards some of these instead of using from the general account? So again, I'm just throwing ideas out. Maybe the department heads want to take note and then tell us, give us a list of priorities for ARPA funding, and then other board members, if you have any other ideas.
Yeah.
I mean, those are like the really big ones, and I can forward the full list. I've been keeping a log, and then I'm going to say lastly, like if everyone turns around to see the exit door in the main auditorium, it's taped off with caution. I sit there every time wondering what the deal is. It says "Do not open," but it's an exit door. It's a fire exit. So
it's under. Well, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Got all your answers tonight. So as part of the rear stair rebuild project, it is closed because there's no railings on those stairs. Those are slated for installation next week.
Okay.
So the stairs technically can't be used by the public or anyone else because they don't meet code without railing.
Okay, so I remember it was taped off for the construction, but now the rail is not it.
No, so it's the new railings that are being put up.
Because the steps are already there.
The steps were put in, but the railings are going to be cored into the new concrete set afterwards. I know they were finishing up.
If I had to run out the door.
Right, it sounds like you can run out if there's an emergency.
You're not going to fall into a hole in the
You just
earth
won't have a
now.
railing to hold on to as you walk down the steps, yes.
Building's on fire.
All
right.
I'm going to run out the door. Okay.
But yeah, those
All right,
are
then I'll,
slated for next week, just so you know.
Okay, so Supervisor, I don't know what the best way to cascade the information is. I can certainly circulate it to department heads. I don't know if you prefer to do that and
No,
at the same
absolutely.
time.
No,
Okay.
you can do that.
Yeah, I would like to create, because I really liked a lot of your ideas, and it would be good to just create an Excel spreadsheet from it that we can add, consider, start getting very high-level prices, if nothing else. But just the simple thing of shade umbrellas at Rothfuss Park, I thought was brilliant, just because it's so hot and sunny there. The filtered water stations, I know we do have some, but maybe every public restroom, could have a filtered water station.
Because there are the water fountains.
Right.
I'm thinking of the ones where you can take your water bottle.
Right, there's like one out here, that one.
Yes, but I was thinking in like high traffic
Right,
areas,
exactly.
community center, library, because there are vending machines there currently.
Right.
As part of our sustainability, I'd like to eliminate single-use plastic to the extent possible. But I think when I counted, there were like 4 vending machines all selling water at the library. And again, can we eliminate 3, keep 1 for persons that absolutely need a water bottle?
Right. And I do believe there is one at the community center. I think I've used it, but not toward the library. It's in the back hallway toward registration. But I agree. I still think it's a very good idea to have it and make it more visible.
So just to be clear, Jeff, you're going to circulate it then and ask for additional?
Yeah, and I can create a spreadsheet and put your ideas on there, and just to start the
Some of them,
process,
if they are already scheduled to be done, we can't allocate ARPA funding to it, so you can cross those out. But I think it'll be helpful to have the department head input and then tell us what priority is, and then it's actually not that much money. We're now under $1 million, right? So, I'm sure repaving the parking lot would have taken that all, so.
Yeah.
I mean, I can say, even simple things like, like, the paving project at the community center was not put in, I don't know, 5 or 6 months ago. It was put in, 2 or 3 months ago. And it was not put in It was slated for this year, but it wasn't put as a budget line item. It was going to be an appropriation from assigned fund balance once the actual totals came in for that. So something like that, certainly could be, done. Even though it's slated for this year, it certainly could come out of the ARPA funding as well.
Okay, all right, thank you.
And because I do have some to add, so I will submit those as well.
Sure. Well, that'd be great.
Okay. So no action item for ARPA. So we have a couple informational items. One is the proposed revisions to the EPOD, or Environmental Protection Overlay District, and Carrie and Mark.
Well,
I don't know who wants to
Mark's
start.
looking at me. So Mark will jump in. If we're just giving a quick update that staff has prepared proposed revisions to the existing Environmental Protection Overlay District regulations that are contained in Chapter 250. They have been circulated to or in the process of being circulated to the EECC for their initial review, feedback, and then once we have that in hand and we've made modifications, we'd be presenting a proposed local law with those revisions to this town board. But we felt that it was important to go to ECC first, get their feedback. The regulations, changes were made to make it very clear about what actions require permits, what actions don't. I think also in how the regulations currently sit, they were drafted back in the 80s. They were, some of the regulations could be interpreted potentially as a taking based on how they were written and what they restrict. And so we wanted to take a careful look at that to make sure that we have a defendable code. And so it just seemed like the right time to sort of, if the regulations haven't been looked at in quite some time, and as we're going through things, we're finding opportunities to correct code and update them when we can. Is that Peter, Mark, anybody? Okay.
That was a great summation. I say it's been started with EECC, and we'll look for their feedback and reaction to what we've started from there. And then once we've got something that they're comfortable with, then again, it'd be coming back to this board.
Will this process also involve a public hearing?
It would. It's a local law, so it would be a public hearing would need to be set, and then any revisions to the local law could be made if needed, and then it wouldn't be able to be acted on until the final version of that local law has been in your possession for 10 days before a vote. So there's definitely some time here and opportunity for public input.
So it looks like, based on the timeline that you provided, that the soonest the board would review it or get that review from the EECC would be July.
Probably
Okay.
July, we're estimating.
Okay.
Not wanting to rush ECC.
Understood. No, it makes sense.
Yeah.
That's why tonight it's just an informational item that it's in process and it's.
No, that's good. I appreciate that.
so-
I really do.
Anything else? No? Okay, sidewalk locations for 2024, it says.
Better not.
Is this,
I think it's
No?
25, but.
I'm the wrong one, sorry. Bear with
Yep.
me.
So I should say sidewalks
there you
2025
go.
at the bottom. So working with Matt Prinzing, our GIS specialist and junior planner, he took all the sidewalk recommendations that we had. Previously, we've given you some cost estimates of it. One, he mapped it, so here it shows all the requested locations. He provided individualized maps for each area, so you can kind of see them on a street view. That's in the packet. And then he also then created like a scoring rubric based on this. So here he located points of interest, he located public lands, density of development, speed of the road. So if you go into, that's one of the individual maps. So each little segment is shown on here so we can look at those individually. So I put it as an informational item tonight, knowing that there's a lot there.
That's
For the
good.
board to make a decision, I figured
Kudos to
kind of go through tonight of here's what you've got, here's
Right.
what's in there. We'll put it on a future work session. And then he created this scoring rubric, and then I added some anecdotal notes at the end. Some are already included in 2024 construction. I think those are the ones in the green. And then in the blue, those are ones that are part of what we just have sent and requested to the county DOT as part of that grant program. So you can kind of look at that. But here he put in length of it, the estimated cost. The cost score is based on the length of the sidewalk. I think we need to tweak that a little bit. There are some other areas, and I added some notes. Highland Drive, I've got to do some retaining walls and some other things that would push the cost up. One of the higher scoring ones is on Fairport, so the higher scoring ones are to the bottom, just based on how it's set up. The Fairport 9 Mile to Perrington Town Line. Great sidewalk, great connection. There's a DOT culvert there that I'd have to add in, so we're looking at least a $500,000 to $1 million project to add a pedestrian crossing culvert in that area. So there's some stuff we need to adjust with that. But then as we go across, he added parcels within a quarter mile, so we look at how many people would use it. The density classification, and he's got, on the next tab, he's got what they all are. So if you go into the scoring rubric, he explains them out there so you can read what those are. But we can obviously adjust those rubric levels, so we just kind of put it a generic 1 to 5. But as the board looks at it, and if we want to, tweak, adjust those, put heavier weight on anything than other, we can. Speed limit scoring, we put in there, obviously, if it's a higher speed road, might make more sense to have a sidewalk off a 55-mile-an-hour road on the side than if it's a 25 or 35-mile-an-hour road. Maybe, not that it's not a great spot, but
It's a safer walk
a little
range.
safer, on a slower speed road. He added points of interest, so as we're trying to get to parks, we're trying to get to churches, we're trying to get to community centers. So just as, we try to put some scoring to this and how do they rank and how to, every sidewalk, as requested was important to someone, and that was the most important location, but how does the board, go through all of those requested locations? As we said, I think we're at about $3.6 million worth of requests, and we've got a $200,000 budget. I think we're leveraging it well with, move ahead with the county and the grant, if they're willing to match 50%. If that moves forward, that kind of takes a big chunk of that one area off, but then how do we look at, into 2025, what do we do with those remaining areas? So tonight's intent was just to show you what you've got in your drop materials. Take a look at those. We can adjust the rubrics, we can adjust the scoring, we can, anything else you can think of, and then at this point, as these are 2025 sidewalks, we can look into June, and if we can make a decision in June or July, we would then send the surveyors out in the summer, fall, and then we'd get into our design through fall and winter, and then look at, construction next year. So we're not, pressured at this point in time on it, but just wanted to kind of make sure the board understood what we gave you, and if you need more or want it changed or something different, we can do that as well.
Is there a map for 2024 that's, I get confused with the two dates or the 2 years?
Yeah, we can, there is one, and I'll make sure I put that in there and show, where the ones are for this year that are, were allocated.
Did you indicate there may be a few on the 25 map that are actually 24
Yes.
projects? Okay.
Yep, so there was requests in there. So I think the ones that are highlighted in green, and it's kind of hard to see on this screen as I'm looking at it. So we've got the 5-mile location, we've got Willow Pond Way, which is under a CDBG grant, the small piece up by Gentles Market, there's a small one-lot, 895 Plank Road, and then I think we've got one more, Carrie, if you scroll down, 1725 5-mile line, but we do have a map showing what this year's pieces are.
Okay, yeah, if you have it.
I'll incorporate that into that folder as well, so you can see what's this year,
Yeah.
what we've got as requests from the county under the grant, and then obviously the requested locations we got from residents in the other spots.
Perfect, thank you.
Sure.
And the higher the score, the greater the priority, is the basic assumption.
That's where we were going
Right.
with this.
Okay, just made sense. Just want to make sure.
Obviously, again, everything is kind of an even score right now. We may say, well, speed of the road is the most important, and obviously we can adjust that rubric, or we can say that, the cost is everything, so those, can be adjusted. Right now, it's just kind of a
Even weighted.
even weight on all of it, so we can decide to weight accordingly as you see fit with that, but just wanted to get the information in. There's a lot here, so that's why I didn't put it as
I appreciate it.
I really do appreciate, this is tremendous work, and I appreciate it.
I'm not taking credit for any of this.
Well, pass it along, or if he's listening.
Yeah, Matt did a wonderful job with this, with the GIS and pulling that,
We'll mark the tape for him to come and watch the meeting from
he can
tonight.
get his kudos from the board
Yeah,
for that.
very good.
He does a great job.
But yeah, from the GIS data to pull all that stuff, and parse that stuff out, I thought was great, and just wanted to kind of walk through that with the board. And then again, on that second tab, as Kerry clicking on it, he kind of put on his thoughts of here's what's included, here's why it is, and then here's the scoring rubric with that. So as you look through that, make sure you kind of look at all those elements, and then we'll put this back on if the board wants as a work session item in June, and we can continue this conversation and look at what makes sense for next year.
Great, Mark, thank you. Anything else for Mark? All right. No held items, no old business, any new business? No? Okay, we'll now adjourn this meeting. Our next work session meeting is Wednesday, June 26th. I'd like to thank the staff for being here tonight, really appreciate it, and the town board.
I think downstairs may need some time to stop this meeting and get started with the next one.
Yep, and yes. Okay, yeah, we're going to close this meeting at the work session at 8:02.